Hi, it's Danielle here from the Teaching Entrepreneur Association. And today I wanted to talk to you about teacher-centred learning versus student-centred learning. The reason being because I had a class this week where we had quite a big discussion about it. And so today I thought we would talk about it. I would explain to you what it actually is, why we do it, and also how we do it. So what is teacher-centred learning and student-centred learning? So if you think back, the traditional way of teaching, or what some people called in the class called the old-fashioned way of teaching, was where the teacher stood at the front of the class and spouts forth, and everything is around the teacher. Everybody listens to what the teacher says. Everything, though, is about the teacher's knowledge, the teacher's experience, the teacher's skills, and they impart that to the students. Well, I think it was Piaget, one of the theorists, came up with the idea, mainly in school children, that student-centred learning really was much better and people would learn better if the student was at the heart of everything that we do. So what I thought I would do is just share with you why that's the case. Well, one of the things it does is it gives the students complete autonomy over their own learning. So by that I mean that the students actually take charge of what they're doing. They understand why they're learning whatever it is that you're teaching them. And adults particularly like that. But they also define what success means. So by that, I mean that it might be that you're teaching, I don't know, a language class, for example. And you as a teacher think, right, we're going to learn this, we're going to learn this, we're going to learn this. And you set out whatever it is that you plan. And whilst most of that is what the student wants to learn, the student actually might walk away thinking, do you know, the bit that I do want to learn is, for example, as it is a language, it might be survival Italian. I'm going on holiday to Italy and I want to learn survival Italian. So they determine or define what success is for them in student-centred learning. And I think this is really important. Also, in the class, it's good to do what I call a blend of group work, pair work, collaborative work, so that students enjoy the knowledge from their peers as well, or the interaction as well of their peers, as well as just what the teacher says. Students love to interact and think and talk. They discuss things, they debate things, and it's really important, I think, in student-centred learning to actively encourage that. Another thing about student-centred learning is that students should work at their own pace, not at the pace of the class, work at their own pace, and also on their own interests, so that they're learning about things that they want to learn about. Because, you know, if you're learning about something you're interested in, you tend to learn it much better than if you're given something and you think, actually, I'm not really interested in that. I've just got to do it because that's what's going on in the class. But as teachers, we can personalise learning so that students learn what they want to, at the pace they want to, how they want to. And one of the other things I think is really important about student-centred learning, for the students to be able to determine the way that they are assessed as well. Because for some people, doing a test, oh my goodness, I'd love to do tests. And other students think, oh no, I don't want to do a test. So as long as you as a teacher know that they know how to do X, Y, or Z, why does it matter how they prove that to you or how they show that to you? Some students might like to do a role play, for example, and other students think there's nothing worse, but they might like to write it out, or they might like to do a PowerPoint presentation of it. There are so many different ways to assess learning. So instead of us determining that, putting the student at the heart of everything they do means that they can tell us the way they want to prove that they can do, or show, not prove, but show that they can do X, Y, and Z. So I think that's really important. So some other ways of how they can do that is discussions, as we talked about, in debates, critical thinking groups. I think are brilliant. Problem solving groups. Really good idea. I mean, one of the things that I've got a little handout here for you. So I'll put the link to it on this somewhere. But what you can do is, I've got one of the ideas that I've put in here is questioning techniques. And you can change your questioning techniques to make sure that they are student-centred. One of the examples I've put in here is you can ask the students in the old-fashioned way, or perhaps in the, not necessarily old-fashioned, but traditional way, and say, okay, so which of the planets have rings around them? And I've put here, instead of saying that to students, say, is there only one planet that's got rings around him? Let's go and find out. What do you think? What do you think? And have a discussion in the class as opposed to just putting them on the spot saying, which planet is it? You know, we know, well, there's probably more than one. I'm afraid my knowledge of astronomy is not brilliant. But you get my point. It means that the students will go and find out and come back and talk to you about the planets and the numbers of rings. So what basically student-centred versus teacher-centred learning is that the student, at the heart of student-centred is the student. Their learning is student-directed. It incorporates their needs, and also the learners are the stakeholder, if you like, in their learning journey. But one thing also I do want to leave you with is that as teachers, we obviously never stop learning. But in a student-centred class, we can learn from the students as well, which I think is invaluable. And not only are the students learning from each other, we're giving a little bit of information, but we're learning from them of all the things that are coming back, all the information that they're finding out. All the different ways that they're feeding back to us, or we're giving feedback to them. It's a collaborative thing rather than just us as the teachers spouting forth the knowledge. Okay, I hope this has been useful, and that you think about moving your classes from complete teacher-centred. And that's not to say that teacher-centred doesn't have its place, because in some teaching and some parts, some courses, it does. But I hope you'll start to move your teaching, if you haven't already, to student-centred learning. Okay, see you next time. Bye.